Paula P works here. Back like we never left with One Piece 1089 entitled Under Siege. So we got a author note from Oda. Sorry about the patchy release schedule recently, but hey, the Netflix show is right around the corner and the Universal Ice show is coming too. So, I hope the live action hasn't been interfering with the manga, because good lord, that's scary. I am shook. Also, One Piece is on the cover of Jump this week with the rest of Jump in the back where they belong. Nah, I joke. But I'm glad that one manga about the robot that looks like a milkmaid or whatever is on the cover. She's like all the way in the back, so that's kind of cool. So shout out to them. I think they're new because I heard about them like a few months ago. So that's cool. But anyway, the world is suffering in One Piece right now because of the destruction of the Lulucelic Kingdom. Makino and the rest of the boys back in Future Village learn about the unsure nature of what happened to Garp back on Full of Lead Island. And yeah, everyone else is experiencing high tide because of the rising sea levels that have went up by a meter thanks to the destruction of the Lulucelic Kingdom. And we get a shot of what's left of it. It looks like Enies Lobby. And if the weapon that was used is in any relation to Kizaru, that's kind of interesting because I'm wondering if there's a difference. Like, say, maybe what happened in Enies Lobby is the result of a glint fruit user like Kizaru, which is why it's sunny all the time. Whereas with the weapon, seeing as how it's just using Kizaru's lasers, it doesn't have the same weird Logia effect. It just has a natural disaster effect, as in the world is responding to a island being gone, which is really weird just based on how One Piece is set up, that like one island can affect the entirety of the rest of the world, seeing as how the world is supposedly so big. But yeah, everyone's feeling it. They're feeling it in Chen Zhao's hometown. They're feeling it, which is in the West Blue. They're feeling it in the North Blue. They're feeling it in the South Blue, the East Blue. It's reached the Twin Capes because we see Laboon. Hi, Laboon. Very cool. We see it has affected Water 7. Wherever Hina is at this moment, I guess New Marine HQ. Again, we see Hina, though. Where's Smoker? Nowhere, because he doesn't matter. Terrible. And it's reached Wano, which that's surprising. But yeah, it's everywhere. It's everywhere. Everyone is affected by the destruction of the Lulucea Kingdom. Crazy. But yeah, that's what I think. I think the reason why it's like this is because it was done with a weapon, but not done with a dull fruit. Because I think if it was done with a dull fruit, this probably still would have happened, but in the area where it happened at, it would probably be intense sunshine. So yeah, I guess that is the difference between something being done with a weapon as opposed to a pure dull fruit power. So yeah, also it's affected the Kamabaka Kingdom, and the new Kama can no longer run on the beach. What a travesty. Terrible. It seems as though, oh no. I thought Fuchsia Village was drowning, or flooded rather. And it's not, but it's all the way up to the shoreline. That's crazy. And then we cut back to the shores of Egghead Island, which it's hard to tell if they have been affected by the destruction of the Lulucea Kingdom. But yeah, the area is surrounded by tons of marine vessels, and the cool giraffe sea beast attacks one of them. Kizaru takes care of it immediately, which is nuts, and it says a total of 30,000 marines are surrounding the island, so that's crazy. Kizaru is potent. Goodness gracious. And then here, it's interesting because, first of all, as the giraffe sea beast goes down, we see that my favorite little boy, the one that looks like a tanuki or whatever, he's safe. So, I'm happy about that. But yeah, something really interesting happens because this was alluded to way back in the day during Shibari Archipelago, where Setsumaru calls Kizaru uncle back there. So it happens again here. We get to see all the vice admirals, including Best Goth Mommy Doll. Very cool. And this big dude with the beard, who I don't know, the dude with all the chins, I don't know, the dude with the lipstick, this old lady, and this guy who looks like he's part fishman, but he's probably just really ugly. And then another guy who looks like he's got a blade in his hand, who also has a long beard. I have not seen him before. This is a rewind to a few chapters ago, because we saw these guys before, but yeah, they haven't been named, so that's interesting. Kizaru, meanwhile, is enjoying a nice bowl of ramen in a very Naruto-like fashion. Sentamaru's just talking to him on the Den Mushi, and Kizaru is basically telling him that, well, it's out of my hands. I'm a cog in this corporate machine. I have to do what I am asked to do. And then we get a very interesting flashback. We see a kind of like a teen Kizaru, or maybe like a Kizaru that's maybe like in his young adult years, with a younger Vegapunk and a baby Sentamaru. This really does highlight that they did have a familial bond way back in the day. So that wasn't a bunch of mistranslations, or even now, it's not a mistranslation when Sentamaru refers to him as uncle. I find that super fascinating, because that means that Vegapunk has had access to this light technology for years, which I have touched upon many a time before, because the schematics for how to utilize the laser technology was in Vegapunk's old laboratory. So this makes sense, because that's how Frankie can use radical beam, because the blueprints were left there. So that makes a lot of sense, and I was wondering how far this tracked back. So it tracks back very, very far, which is why I made so many videos about how Kizaru just might be a cyborg too. Like, I could see him being one to, like, maybe make better use of his light powers. Like, it's an amplifier or whatever. I don't know. But I could see that happening. I wonder where Kizaru got this fruit from, too, because this is the first time that we've seen an admiral this young with a devil fruit power. Because we just saw Kuzan, right, in, like, the last chapter, and he didn't seem to have a devil fruit power back then, and that Kuzan and this Borsellino look to be about the same age, roughly. They're both fairly young. So maybe Borsellino was the first one who got his fruit first. I don't know. That's interesting. Kind of want to see what happened with Sakazuki. When did he get the magma fruit? Very interesting. But yeah, he's had this for a very, very long time. So that means, that's an interesting food for thought, though. I wonder, is Borsellino technically the most skilled devil fruit user amongst the three? I wonder, because seeing as how this is the first one of the three that we've seen with devil fruit powers who's had them this early, it's putting me in the frame of mind that he has had this fruit the longest, or he's had his fruit the longest. And even in this panel here, it's not like, say, Saba when he first got the flame fruit. He seems to have a good deal of control, because right here it just looks like he's making a flashlight with his finger. So he's had a good deal of control of it for a fairly long time. So even though we see him here as a glint fruit user, as like an adult or a young adult, or like as a older teenager, he may have had the fruit for even longer than that, which is interesting. We know it may not be when he was an actual child, because we see him as an actual child studying by lamplight, which is another interesting thing, because we don't see any of the admirals as children studying. He's the only one, so he's probably the smartest of the three too. But yeah, just a lot of things to unpack from this one like half panel. Weird. Very weird. But yeah, Kizaru, his hands are tied because he's associated with the Marines and therefore the world government. So despite the familial ties that he has with Sentamaru, if he is making an enemy of himself to the world government, there's nothing Kizaru can do. And then we see big boy J. Garcia Saturn talking to, I believe this is Strawberry, and they're just discussing that Morgans has published in the paper that Monkey D. Luffy and the Straw Hat crew have taken Vegapunk hostage, and then Strawberry also informs Saturn about the various Vegapunk scientists that were working on Egghead and how they escaped. Seeing as how they may know something about the Void Century 2, J. Garcia Saturn orders their ships to be exterminated, which is very dark and very spooky. So they're gone. And then we get a breakdown of all the various factions on Egghead right now, and cute chibi form. So we get all the Vegapunks. Vegapunk, his satellites, his 6 satellites. The Seraphim, only S-Bear, S-Hawk, S-Snake, and S-Shark on Egghead officially. The others are elsewhere. And then we have the Straw Hats and the Cypher Pole members. Now, it says here, And it seems likely that they have joined forces with the Emperor Straw Hat, and his crew has 10 members. So they're just including everyone here as a group. So don't get excited and thinking that the crew has been completed, because if you remember, when Brook joined, Brook was called the 8th member. That means Jinbei is the 9th member, even though he did get a special chapter entitled the 9th, which is kind of weird. But then again, too, Chomper and Robin didn't get that either, so I don't know. But yeah. So we got the Straw Hats and the Cypher Pole. What's interesting about the Cypher Pole's little chibi representations here is that Hattori is depicted with Lucy. Why? I know that's such a small thing to be obsessed with, but why? Why is Hattori being shown as an important figure with Cypher Pole here? Why are you depicting the bird? Why? Like, you don't see Zeus being depicted with the Straw Hats. Why are you depicting the bird? I'm so obsessed over this. Why? Why is the bird here? Why is the bird here? Does the bird matter? Because the bird wears the mask, like I made in the short. He wears the mask. I don't know. I don't know. But yeah, and then we get a little chibi depiction of Setsubara and the Mark III Pacifistas. And the lab stratum is currently at 100%, so no one can enter. So it's a very tight hostage situation. Also, we get this little tidbit from Strawberry about Bonnie, and she's been reported to be on the island too. And Saturn says, Kuma's daughter. Well, we no longer have any use for her, but given that she is just a little girl, you can leave her be. I am so confused about Bonnie because it now confirms some of the old theories cats had back in the day that the 5 elders do in fact know Bonnie and have a relationship with Bonnie. She could be used to be keeping them young all the time, or keeping them eternally like set at an age, meaning their aging just stops and they are who they are for forever. But like, it's a very interesting turn of events, because how is Bonnie important? Why is Bonnie important? Is it because she is a user of the Toki Toki no Mi? Because I remember, I think it was Threevil made a video about this a while ago, about Bonnie having the time fruit. So that might be the case. I am not sure. It could be something else, because the problem with her having the time fruit is that we've seen the time fruit only be used for like one thing, like for traveling 20 years into the future. The idea, though, like he brought up, is that Devil fruits are rarely used for one thing, but like that's true, but it's not true. If you get my meaning, because say like the jacket fruit is a one purpose fruit. The hobby fruit could only do one thing as a base, and then you could like add conditions on top of that to give the toys that you've created. But it's weird, because I could see this being the time fruit and these are just all the powers that it has, or it could be something that's say like a cousin to the time fruit, kind of like how you have the Arbs fruit being superior to the Dice fruit, or kind of like how the berry fruit and the chop fruit basically do the same thing, but there are just polar opposites of one another. One makes you immune to blunt force, the other makes you immune to cutting attacks. So she could have the time fruit, or a fruit that's adjacent to it, meaning say like she can't travel through time, but she can affect time for herself and others and bring possible timelines to the forefront for herself and others. Maybe. I did a video about this too. I believe I said her fruit could be the possible fruit, or the perhaps fruit. So yeah, long story short, Bonnie is important for some reason, and calling her a little girl, I don't know if this is a caveat of the translation I'm reading now currently, or is she a little girl in an adult's body? So are we doing like a I guess a Momo situation, in which Momo's now 28? Oh, we also see Momo a little earlier. We saw him. That's cool. But like, is she like Momo, to where she just made herself an adult, but she's actually a child mentally? Though then she's kind of had the tact and the know-how of an adult. So this could just mean that to Jay Garcia, since he's like a billion years old or whatever, to him, she is a little girl, which that tracks, that makes sense. But yeah, Borsalino listens in on the call via his black Din Din Mushi as the boys on the marine vessel are picking up the call. And it's a call being made out to Mary Joas from Egghead. And it is York telling the Gorosei to make her a celestial dragon based on the information that she has given out to them about the Stella, which is, of course, the base Vegapunk. And I love seeing my wife York here. She's so precious. She's so good. She brings me joy. And then they talk to her about, say, well, if she knows about the Void Century, then you know about the Void Century because you are just as much of a Vegapunk as he is, which gives credence to the theory I had, like she's just as smart as him, yet she's being used as a stomach and a rectum, which that has to be talked about. The reason why she betrayed Vegapunk in the first place, because this didn't come from nowhere. I still hold to that. This didn't come from nowhere. This had to be a reason. There had to be a reason why she did what she did here. But yeah, she's bluffing, saying that she used the Seraphim to take control of the Straw Hat and Cypher Pole situation. However, as the conversation continues, something is made mention about some sort of fusion reactor or a power station. In the author notes, it says fusion reactor. So this fusion reactor is supposed to be superior to the Mother Flame. So I'm guessing something that's actually constructed, not using a Delphi ability, but like, say, something that has unlimited power that can then be put into a weapon. I'm not sure, but yeah. And then she still wants to be a celestial dragon, and that's her request, which they lie, I assume, and say that can be arranged. And then we see York's face in shadow, and as we hear her talk about the deal of becoming a celestial dragon, she actually says, oh, I have one more condition. Save me from Straw Hat Luffy. He's here and he's going to kill me. And she starts crying. Oh, poor York. Oh, no. Oh, no. And then all the Gorosei are surprised, as is Borsalino. Very funny. Very cool. And she cries out, please crush these psychos. So what we're seeing here, we see all the Straw Hats teamed up in this beautiful panel. They're all enjoying some food Sanji has cooked. Lucy is just standing around as I assume that they have come to an agreement. And yeah, everyone's just chilling out. We see Bonnie here. Very, very, very cool. And I guess Sanji's actually fawning over her as she seems to be eating some of the food that he has prepared. We see Vegapunk, like the base one, he's okay. We don't see the other ones, which is concerning. We see Usopp, so he has been depetrified. We see Frankie, who has also been depetrified, apparently, and he's enjoying some Vegapunk cola. We don't see Lilith, we don't see Atlas, and we don't see what happened to, oh, I forgot his name, the little rabbit one, number 3. We don't see what happened to him, or yeah, the Pythagoras, the other guy, the other robot-looking guy. And I guess Shaka might just be dead because he did get shot in the head. So yeah, Vegapunk York is being held at sword point by Zoro, and I don't think she can see over herself thanks to her assets, but which is very funny to me. But yeah, so so yeah, I think this is one of those times where we get like the ending first and the middle is going to be filled in next chapter, in which we see how all this sort of boiled down. Very interesting. I wonder what happened to the Seraphim. I doubt any of them got destroyed though, because they seem too lore important as things have gone on. But yeah, I really do wonder how all this came about. Goodness gracious, Zoro looks great in his egghead fit. He looks great. But yeah, and I just noticed Luffy's egghead fit has a vest. It's like a vest that goes into a coat. I did not notice that. Very cool. Oh, and yeah, Body and Vegapunk seem to have made up at some point, which is why I'm saying I'm gonna get the middle at some point later, probably in 1090, which makes sense because that's like I guess a capstone chapter. That's a whole number chapter. So if it's not 1090, it's probably be 1091, because if it's not the capstone chapter, when we reach a full number, it's the number after the fact. So either 1091 or 1090 is where we're going to see the middle of these events here and how all this boiled down and how Vegapunk York got captured. Too bad for York. She'll never be a celestial dragon. I still hold to my theory about how she'll probably still escape Egghead Island somehow and be dropped off somewhere, and then she'll be picked up by like Judge and Caesar, and she'll join Neomads. I'm still holding to that because I just think that's a really, really cool idea. So I hope that happens. I really hope that happens. But yeah, this was a cool chapter. Really cool chapter. A lot happened. We finally get confirmation that yes, Sentomaru does have a familial tie, even though it's like an adopted foul family sort of tie to Kizaru. So that's really cool. And yeah, just cool chapter all around. And there apparently is a break next week, but I think that's a break for the official, but the chapter will probably like trickle out somehow. But yeah, so until then, talk to you next time. Thank you for watching. If you like stuff like this, please feel free to check out my YouTube channel, Pauly P Works. And if you like what you see, I would appreciate your subscription. Thank you so much. See you next time.